Hey, I just wanted to go over the switch because it's it's just, so as a lot of us do. This is just a used three-phase piece of equipment that I got from auction, and this is a switch that came with it. This is a switch that controls. This is a for my Griggio T45. It's an Italian shaper, but I think that any three-phase piece of equipment may have a switch like this. In the case of my shaper, this switch controls which direction the spindle goes in. So it's a three-way. So you have one direction off, another direction. I just wanted to show you this because to me it was kind of a black box deal, and my shaper when I got it only spun in one direction, and I didn't really know why. I looked on eBay, etc., just generally online to find a switch or replacement for this, and it ended up being like $200 or so, right, give or take. So I have a friend who's pretty good with just old equipment in general. Likes working on old engines and old vehicles and motorcycles, cars, whatever, tractors, etc. So I took the switch over to him because I kind of viewed it as like a black box. So that's why I wanted to just show you guys how it works, and then so you're less nervous about it. And then I actually found a way to fix it, which is really just making these points, which I think I can show you, like the points. Oops. The points right there. You can kind of see it. So those 2 points are what makes the contact, electrical contact. So when I did a continuity check before cleaning the points, we found that the switch wasn't working because there just wasn't continuity whenever it was clicked into one of the directions. So anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to learn if there was anything I could do to get the switch to work. I brought it over to my friend's house, who, like I say, is much more knowledgeable than me, and just has a lot more experience with old equipment. And yeah, we found out how to clean the points. It's pretty simple, so that's all I wanted to really show you. Just how it works on the inside. I'll take it apart. I mean, only a little bit, because I know there's springs inside here that I do not want to fly away. It'd be a sad day. And then I can just when you see how it works on the inside, it automatically loses its black box nature, obviously, and then you can see how simple it is. But anyway, let's I'll just take it apart because it's self-explanatory once it's apart. Also on these, my shaper at least doesn't have it doesn't tell you what direction the spindle is turning. It just has a 1 or a 2. So it's up to you, the user, to decide which direction is which. And then for me, I'll definitely be labeling one either clockwise or counterclockwise, and then the other one, the opposite, because it's really dependent on how you put the legs onto the, how you decide to wire your legs, right? And you can always flip around T1 and T3 or L1 and L3 at any point, really at any point. In the circuit, you could do it at the switch, you could do it at the plug, you could do it kind of anywhere as long as it's on the machine side of electrical, and you should be able to change the direction of the motor doing that. Okay, so I don't know if your switch would be like this, but on this switch, there's a couple different grooves. I'm not quite sure what the top 2 grooves are, but there's a bottom groove that indicates this middle shaft, this arbor, if you want to call it that, where the cams rest. There's cams inside of each one of these 3 like hockey puck looking pieces. So all these hockey pucks should be the exact same, more or less, but the cam inside each one will be in a different location because you're going to want different terminals to be electrified, obviously, depending on which location the switch is in. But anyway, just thought that's kind of a cool design on this thing, is that they have like a little lock washer, like pre-manufactured in. not a lock washer, I don't know what you'd call it. Almost like a snap ring, obviously, but not obviously not a snap ring. Anyway, we'll take this apart. Hopefully we won't lose any springs. Sweet. Ooh, that was close. Okay. So here's the inside of the switch. So this piece is one solid piece. So this is one solid piece. And when the cam is on the high side, the big side, whatever you want to call this, then the terminals are pushed out and away, so they're not contacting right now. So these are the points, and they're not contacting, right? There's a space. Opposite story on the opposite side with the way the cam is right now, which means that these are in contact. And that's all that it is. And so the cam is indicated in each one of those little pucks a little bit differently if it has to be. So that when you're turning this, and I'm not going to turn it now because I don't want to lose these springs. You got to be really careful of that. These are under quite a bit. These are under quite a bit of load, and so if they, if you turn this cam without the cap on, they might just pop out, which I'm not going to risk. But if you do, if you're not getting good continuity between these two pieces, even though they're in contact with each other, that's a sign that you need to sand the points. That's the first step, and you can do that without taking this apart at all. And then, which is pretty cool. The second thing you might consider is these springs back here, if it's not getting enough push to go, so for them to push against each other like quite well enough to make the contact, that could be also an issue. And then the other issue is that you just may have like some funky contact stuff going on between the point and the piece that it's in on either side. And that might be more of a hassle. You might have to do, maybe you got to pop the pin out, maybe you just got to get a new plate. I don't know how you'd go about doing that, but I'm sure they exist. I'm sure this design is super common. This is an Italian brand, but I'd imagine most switches, now that I've taken this apart and now that you see it yourself, you're probably thinking, yeah, they're probably most of them are probably pretty similar to this in the same era. So you probably can buy something that would replace that, or maybe you can mess around with some sandpaper or some, I don't know, chemical warfare there and get that stuff kind of cleaned up so that but regardless, this is a pretty simple switch. So for $200, I would say don't throw it away, mess with it, see if you can get it to see if you can come back to life or not. Today, I had an electrician come in like a week ago, and they got my shaper, planer, power feeder, and dust collector, kind of their own three-phase circuits, and all the plugs wired up and things like that. So today I'm waiting for my 30 amp breaker for this machine, so I'm not able to fire it up, but I am able to check continuity, and it looks like the problem was fixed just by simple sanding. So I'm gonna put it back together, and then I'll show you how we went about sanding the points or cleaning up the points. Sorry, doing this off the camera, I guess. This part's pretty boring, just put it back together. Okay. Ooh. Should be good. So yeah, I would have definitely avoided taking this apart. and just going directly to the step I'm going to show you, because obviously there's a risk that those springs fly out, and that's not worth the risk, to be honest with you. Okay, so what we did is we took a this is just like a cosmetic nail file, you know, for literally human nails. And so what we did is there was a shiny tip on it, you know, as most files have. They just don't file all the way to the end. So ground that off, made it a little bit thinner, ground it off here too. That's all that it is. I think it would also work if it's maybe some sandpaper rolled up on each other, like folded over each other, and then like a piece of sheet steel in the middle of the sandpaper. But whatever. So what you do is you just click the switch around as needed to make whatever points you want to clean touch, because they do need spring tension and be pushing against each other. And then once they're like that, you can just simply push this in, and then you can hear it, hopefully. Sand, and then you just kind of like sand, grind, whatever you want to call that, file the points, and then yeah, and like I said, and then you can just check continuity as you go. Obviously you don't need power for continuity checking, so yeah, that's what I did, and I'm 90% sure it's going to work now. So I saved myself $200, and I saved myself however many weeks of waiting for the new thing to come, just with a simple cleaning of the points. So if you want to know how these worked on the inside, then you got it. At least I needed to, because I thought they were kind of just a black box, and was about to pull the trigger on $200, which would have been silly looking back on it now. So all right, that's all.